Hello, and we are back beginning on page 70 from Phenomenon Begins, the middle paragraph. So it's the projection of the astral body by Sylvan, Muldoon and Hereward Carrington. Thank you for sticking with me, and we will continue. I will get as far as we can today. It is not difficult to understand that, if consciousness is desired throughout a complete projection, the hypnagogic state is the ideal place for the aggression to begin. Catalepsy with consciousness is more apt to occur in passing from sleeping to waking than the reverse. Trial will prove convincingly that, if consciousness begins to function a little too strongly, after the subconscious has effected a slight separation, on entering sleep, the phantom is more apt to coincide again than it would be in a similar condition when waking from sleep. In other words, most projections will be more successful, consciously, if they begin in the hypnagogic state, when coming out of sleep, when one awakens and finds himself powerless in astral catalepsy, called nocturnal paralysis. We also call it sleep paralysis also. The very first thing he usually does is to become alarmed. He wishes to become physically active again and struggles within himself to be free. This is nothing short of a conscious suggestion to the subconscious will, and that will soon responds. If this discomposure could be eliminated and the subject would keep emotionally calm, the suggestion of becoming physically active would not be given to the subconscious control. Then, if the subject would think of rising up, toward the ceiling, and suggest that he float in the very air above him, the subconscious will would continue the exteriorizing process, and completely conscious and extensive projection would result. At such a time, the physical body is greatly incapacitated. The subconscious will already has the astral entity in its power. It is merely a matter of what suggestion is given to what will, which determines whether the phantom will continue to move out or will move back into a coincidence again. It is exactly the same as walking. Once you are in motion, the subconscious will is in control, but the moment you give a conscious suggestion that you will stop, you stop. When you are consciously in astral catalepsy, if you then suggest that you wish to become physically active again, that is what will result. Perhaps you will reply to this, as a friend of mine did, by saying, "I'd like to see the fellow who wouldn't get excited on awaking and finding himself paralyzed. Yet I have done this, and I wager that anyone can bring about an extensive conscious projection if he keeps emotionally calm and gives the right suggestions when he does awaken and finds himself cataleptic. He couldn't help but do it. It is the very law. It is the very same law we use every day of our lives when we walk about, directing the power that does the walking by conscious suggestion. To be sure, it is no easy matter for one to prevent himself from becoming emotional at the supernormal, especially when he himself is in the grip of it. But, like all things supernormal, conscious projection soon loses its awe as one becomes more accustomed to it. Sensation and emotion at different stages of exteriorization. Page 71. The place to which the phantom has progressed when consciousness comes, if it does, will naturally determine the first conception or sensation the subject will experience. At different degrees of separation, different sensations are produced. If consciousness makes its first meagre appearance in the hypnagogic state, and the subconscious will is under projection inclination, the very first conception is that one of it exists somewhere. If slight awareness comes a second or two later, glued down catalepsy will be in the first impression. If, still an instant later, floating, next, trembling, zigzagging, etc. It is the action or place of progression of the phantom which determines what the first conscious thoughts will be, and this very first thought is of vital importance. It is then that one must remain calm and suggest uprising. Most conscious projections are ruined at the outset merely because the action of the phantom brings about an unpleasant sensation, which in turn causes emotion. The following rule may well be applied to this phenomenon. Emotions of unpleasantness, alarm, fear, etc., are veritable suggestions to the subconscious will that the subject wishes to be normal or physically correct. Thus, the first thought will influence the immediately succeeding or relative thoughts, and if the activity is of a nature to cause emotion, the desire to become physically normal will at once follow, and be a suggestion to the subconscious will to that effect. Conscious projection is more liable to take place just as the first conscious thought makes its appearance, before the phantom moves into the air, or after it is extensively projected and is upright, either emotive or somnambulating. The stages between are more promotive of unpleasant emotion. When one becomes trained and has practiced the phase, the instant he has his first conscious thought, he will instinctively associate it with rising into the air, instead of becoming uneasy, and will use every conscious effort to keep himself calm throughout what is about to happen. It is astonishing how really easy this is to do after it has been accomplished once. It is like a hesitating man about to take an aeroplane ride. Should he suddenly awake and find himself in the takeoff, he would immediately say, "Let her go! This is going to feel funny, but here goes." It may seem paradoxical that the action of the phantom will affect the emotions, and that the emotions will affect the action of the phantom. However, such is the case. It may also seem contrary to received opinion that nervousness is a factor favourable to detachment, and that the emotions must be calm. Still, this too is true. However, were it not for such unnatural conditions involved in the production of projection, everyone would be doing it. Conscious astral projection never will be accomplished by anyone who cannot control his emotions. Page 73, Chapter 3, Route the Phantom Travels in Projection. Check the time. I believe that this is the first time that any writer has ever definitely declared that the subconscious will ejects the phantom in a specific route, and that the position of the physical body at the time of ejection invariably governs the direction in which the double will move out of it. When the body is in a lying down position, or horizontally at rest, the astral advances from the body in an upward direction, rigid, remaining strictly parallel to the material body. As a rule, all parts of the two bodies separate simultaneously. The etheric member shakes throughout its entire length, vibrates, more properly describes it, not from side to side, but upward and downward. Usually the progress upward in this manner is slow, the astral body advancing only an inch or so at a time, and many times falling back again. After approximately 1 foot of separation, it begins to zigzag, much like a snag stick zigzags back and forth in the current of a stream. To become conscious at this point will almost always excite the emotions and interiorize the phantom till one becomes accustomed to it. In this manner, the astral body eventually reaches a height of anywhere from 3 to 6 feet above the shell. This point, the uprighting force begins to operate. The lower half, the feet, begins to draw downward, while the upper half, the head, moves upward, which brings the phantom to the vertical or standing position. It is as if there were a pivot through the centre of the body. There are times when the subconscious control does not upright the phantom directly over the shell, but, after raising it to a height of about 5 feet, will begin to force it along in the air, still horizontal, for some distance, and then bring it down to the vertical. The trembling ceases as the uprighting begins, and the zigzagging becomes more of a side-to-side swaying. If the sense of sight be functioning, a variegated aura can be seen from the very beginning. This is always the route the phantom takes when exteriorization takes place while the body is in the horizontal position. The entire process may occur quickly, or it may be prolonged. If exteriorization takes place when the physical body is in an upright position, it may readily be seen that the horizontal activity is automatically eliminated, for then the etheric member moves right out of the material body, already in a standing position. Astral exteriorization is not unlike another phenomenon, what has been termed the passing, at the time of death, in so far as the behaviour of the phantom is concerned. The passing simply denotes the transition of the finer body from its coinciding position with the physical. While the astral body movements are alike in death and in exteriorization, there is one element present in the latter phenomenon which is absent in death: a vital line of force connecting the physical body with its astral counterpart. This line of force is called the astral cord or astral cable, and in its presence lies the difference between deathly projection and projection which is not unto death. In death, as in astral projection, the phantom may not become conscious for some time. Some are said to become so quickly. Some exist for a while in the dream state. Others, it is claimed, remain unconscious for a long period of time. Some never even taste death. As Christ said, never even slumber. Picture someone, perhaps a soldier, walking straight ahead, consciously bent upon reaching a certain place. If, as he hastens along, something should instantly rend him asunder, say a flying missile killing him instantly, the astral body would keep right on walking, ignorant of the fact, for the moment, that he was physically dead. This is given merely to show the relation with corporal position sustained to the astral body during their separation. Some symptoms of astral exteriorization. Perhaps you can now recall having experienced one or more of the elementary stages of astral projection: the adhered or glued down sensation, the sensation of floating or whirling, or of zigzagging or uprising, jumps in the hypnagogic state, breathtaking sensation at pit of stomach, a feeling as if one's consciousness were getting out of one's head. These same things may have happened to you many times when you were unaware of them. When you are conscious of them, the doctor will pass it off as nerves. It is easy to tell a patient that nerves cause such peculiar happenings, but telling him how nerves cause these happenings is a horse of another colour. Nerves cause such peculiarities because of the astral is not bound tightly in the physical. What is dizziness? It is a condition of looseness of the astral body. What loosens the astral body? Many things: a blow to the back of the head, abnormal functions of vital organs, a score of causes. Regardless of the cause, dizziness indicates that the astral body is not bound tightly to the physical. When dizzy, we stagger because the astral body is loose and half inclined to withdraw from the physical. Whirling will cause dizziness, since it loosens the astral body, and in this connection, it is interesting to note that the fakirs often resort to whirling to accomplish astral exteriorization. An experience which is not altogether rare is that of waking at night, for an instant, at seeing a duplicate of oneself hovering about a foot above one. It lies in a horizontal position and is trembling as if resting on the air. It is gauzy coloured. A moment later, we awake with a jump. In such a case, the etheric, I call the astral etheric not because I believe it is composed of either, but because others who do believe this have given it that name, was about 1 foot out of coincidence. But you will say, I saw this from my physical body, and you did, but the conscious mind was not in the physical body. I will attempt to explain later how the senses can cut capers. The track of sight sensation came from the conscious mind in the body above you. Where were you really? And travelled through the astral cable to the physical eye. Some other symptoms of astral exteriorization are catalepsy, coldness of body, falling and flying dreams, and head-thumping dreams. One may see lights, images, and figures, hear sounds of various kinds, all the way from the inarticulate noises to beautiful strains of music. Mr. Prescott Hall, in his work of astral projection, summarized his own experience in this connection as follows. The most definite objects were a Greek profile and the head and shoulders of a Hindu in a turban. These were perfectly distinct. A brilliant red object. Third, large, round blue lights. Fourth, a small blue and yellow light. Fifth, landscapes, sometimes of two tones and sometimes of natural colours. Sixth, luminous spaces or patches of mist of colour, frequently outlines of persons, but showing no definite details. Seventh, irregular shaped figures of all kinds, white in colour, and usually seen in the patch of a blue sky, or tissue paper figures. These were perhaps the rarest sights and required the most effort to produce. This is very interesting. The principal sounds heard were the following: a hissing or a whistling, as of escaping steam, single musical notes, musical phrases generally new to the hearer, hymn tunes and other tunes which were known, harmonics, often very beautiful, two or more notes, alternating in a regular sequence, and the sound of a bell or bells, sometimes in harmony, metallic noises like striking an anvil. It is not unusual at the beginning of a projection to hear seemingly far distant sounds which sound familiar to the subject. Often it is as if someone far away were calling in a musical voice. A very peculiar sensation is as if someone unseen were blowing in one's face. Again, it is as if someone unseen's fingertips touch one about the throat, mouth and nose, causing a tickling sensation. So we'll finish there, midway, page 76, and then I will upload another video tomorrow. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.